Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your match preview from Talking Town. I'm, of course, your host, the Gov. Comment for that out with if you're watching on catch-up. Comment live if you're with us. If you're watching, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, drop us a comment. Leave us your thoughts, your opinions, your score predictions, your team predictions. Should Jack Clark step into the team after a good performance last weekend? Let us know everything that you're feeling as we head in to another week of Premier League action. Like, subscribe, and don't forget we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help save lives and have the chance to win £1,000 every week, who doesn't want to say yes to both those questions, let's be honest, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. We're playing for just £1 each week. You're helping to get their yellow helicopters flying. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week, with prizes ranging from £50 to £1,000. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. Link in our description, but please, whatever you do, gamble responsibly. Welcome in, Lynn. Hope you're well. Stephen's with us. Mike Baker. Stephen's been very active on the Discord all day today discussing the possibility of, Delap leaving in the summer. How much is he worth? It's been a great conversation. Been tracking it. Sean's here. Welcome in, Sean. And of course, Everton. Everton. It's Colin who mentions Everton by saying 1-1. Let's remind ourselves after a weekend off from, well, I say remind ourselves as if we've forgotten, but looking at the league table as we head into this round of Premier League fixtures. Town sitting 19th, 16 points, 2 points currently from Wolves. Everyone's played the same number of games. Everton played this evening with their game in hand. And of course, our opponents this weekend, Aston Villa, currently sitting 8th, 37 points. Banging on that door of the Champions League places yet again. We'll have an Aston Villa fan joining us from the Villa Park podcast. Looking forward to hearing what they have to say in regards to their own team. But that's your league table. And joining me this week is Matthew Phillips. Welcome back, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm amazed I'm still not watching Exeter versus Nottingham Forest from last night. Seems like it was never ending, that game. Started at 8 o'clock and finished about 11:15, I think.
And it went to extra time and penalties. Obviously, in the end, it was decided by penalties. It was Nottingham Forest.
It was. Forest won. A new rule change. If a Premier League team can't beat a team battling relegation in League One after 2 hours of football, the smaller team should go for it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you know what? There is potential for that. But do you know what annoyed me the most? Right?
Okay,
was the other game that was on last night, which was by all accounts a fantastic game of football, and why the Champions League is regarded as one of the best.
Yeah, well, I had that as well.
But we can't play replays in the FA Cup because of games, but we can play more opening round Champions League games than we have done under the group stage with 8 this year, which obviously is more.
Yeah.
And we can do 2 legs in the preliminary knockout phase.
Yeah.
Well, games aren't an issue then, are they?
No, exactly.
Suddenly, games aren't an issue. Well,
because them games are worth more money. And I think, as you rightly said on one of the other shows, and as you rightly said on one of the other shows, you've got to fit in that end of season trip to Australia or something. Get something like that going.
Yeah.
Like, don't forget, Man City have got the World Club Cup to play at the end of the season.
Well, this is it.
Just what Guardiola needs, isn't it? Right now.
Yeah.
Another competition.
But equally, you amp up the stakes, don't you, in the Champions League? If you had that, like if last night's result was like in the FA Cup as it is these days, that would have been a really interesting it's an interesting game anyway, but it would have been a really, Man City going out, can they force extra time in here? But games don't matter, do they? Unless it's, money involved at the end
I'll
of it.
tell you what's prompting this, everyone, is Martin was going on about this last night. He was sending me long, nostalgia-led WhatsApps about how football isn't what it used to be. I was reading them in the voice of Ron Manager. Jumpers for goalposts.
It's not what it used to be when you had, it was all on ITV, free terrestrial TV. You had, great. Anyone could beat anybody. I remember Champions League growing up with Rosenborgs and Anderlecht. Great teams, and there's great teams in it now. But it's just oversaturated. Like last night, for example, right? An FA Cup tie on a Tuesday night. What are we doing?
Oh, this is none of your
what is this
isn't it?
About?
Either side of the weekend. I would say Tuesday's stretching it a little bit. I think Friday to Monday's okay. Yeah, Tuesday's stretching
Football
it
don't
out.
stop. Football don't stop no more, man.
You hardly ever watch it anyway. I was amazed you was watching that.
Watch. It's oversaturation of the product. Oversaturation of the product. Gardener's World's on at it's 9 o'clock. Get it off. But
Monty Don.
The thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Monty Don, Alan Titch.
Not that I watch it
anyway. Well, you more than I do, because I don't know who,
probably.
who they are. But back to the football. Colin says, Gov asked Matt how he thought Exeter would get on. How did you think Exeter would get on?
Well, now, this is typical Colin, because Colin predicted Exeter would win 2-1, and I said they would get stuffed. Neither of us were correct, but Colin is still saying that I was wrong. They did fantastically well, Exeter. Yeah, they did fantastically well. What makes me laugh about their ground, called St James's Park, of course, same as Newcastle. But you got, I think they said on the commentary, it's the biggest standing area in British football, English football, one end, that huge cop. Fantastic stand. Love to watch a game in there. Other end, chicken run. Got barely about 100 fans in there. I mean, just sort of lopsided looking stadium.
Didn't we play Exeter recently? Didn't we play? I got a feeling we played Exeter only recently.
We beat them. Well, they were our promotion game in League One, weren't they? The 6-0.
So you didn't go to the way to go and stand in that great stadium. You had the chance to.
No. Well, you want me to go in there?
Fancy it then, did you, Matt?
You want me to go in the home end?
Well, no,
ain't round the corner, is it?
You sounded all of a sudden like such a Premier League fan. Oh, I'd love to go down to that lower level and watch that game. When we played at that lower level, Matt, you were tucked up with some Horlicks.
True. Actually, do you know what I always think about with that stadium is when we played them in that, was it the quarterfinal of whatever it was at the time, the Football League Trophy, the Johnston Paints, whatever it was at the time.
The Pizza Cup.
And we thought, it was just after lockdown, wasn't it? And they was allowed a few fans in there, and we thought didn't we get done on penalties or something? We lost anyway, didn't we? Probably. Ruined the dream. Standard. We thought we were going to Wembley that season.
Well, we still could. We're only a few games away. Forest, Nottingham Forest standing our way. True. We could get through that. We could get through that. Do you think Forest would put out I mean, we'll get to this when we play them, obviously, but very quickly. Do you think Forest would put out because that was invariably their B team last night, wasn't it? Started off with their reserve keeper and everything. Do you think they're going to do the same against us, being that they're going for the Champions League? Not. They might well do. Depends how the league table sits at that point in time. It depends how tight it is. I'm sure
we will. I'm sure we'll put out same kind of side as we put out against Coventry.
Look, Matt, it can't be any worse than the time I travelled up to see Man United and Mick McCarthy played Peter Malachek and Josh Yorworth as the two centre halves. Tommy Orr.
Tommy Orr. He had to go home. He had to go home to Australia, didn't he? He was homesick. I don't blame him really with this weather. I'd want to go back as well. Who else was in there? Josh Yorworth,
Josh Yorworth, the piece of Malachek with the two centre halves, and they played Wayne Rooney. I think Matter probably played in that game. I can't quite remember, but they put a strong team out. I travelled all the way up on a midweek night, and we got knocked out. And we still didn't finish in the playoffs that year.
Yeah,
it was
2-0. What's his name again? Peter Malachek.
Malachek, from memory.
Yeah, Polish lad, wasn't he? Very sly.
Yeah.
Used to turn like an oil tanker.
Portsmouth.
Yeah, I think he did actually.
Didn't he get something against Portsmouth? Yeah, he did. Yeah, he didn't play many times. I feel like the old school teacher we signed under Joe Rule. Do you remember? I can't remember his name. I want to say Ian Smith, but it's
Ian Miller.
Ian Smith, but
Ian Miller.
We signed him, and I think he played like what?
He had a very good. He had a very good career in non-league. Yeah, he ended up with Cambridge when they were in the non-league and played in the FA Trophy final and all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Vernon Breckersgard.
I knew that was coming. The Joe Roll Scandinavian. He played minutes.
We had more of a European network then, Matt, than we have now.
Yes. That's very true. Ulrich Le Pen was another. Would he get 7 minutes? Went off with a broken leg or something?
Yeah, but that was in the Premier League, wasn't it? Yeah, against Bolton, broken toe, I think it was, wasn't it? Against Bolton in the Premier League. And he was Lucas Chiavelli, another player,
he was a big favourite with my dad. Yeah, he was a big favourite with my dad. He got carried off against Burnley, didn't he? And he put a thumbs up on the stretcher, which kind of like warmed him to all the fans, didn't he? Yeah, that was a shame. He was a Magilton signing, I think. We've got like $1.5 million, I think. He looked like he would be a really good player, didn't he? But weird, isn't it? How these injuries suddenly come out of nowhere and then that's it. Curtains.
Well, in Chiavelli's case, I think he had a change of manager, didn't he? Obviously, Magilton left, Keane come in.
Yeah, then Keane come in.
I'm not quite sure that, well, for whatever reason, it was a situation that was one for him to come back into the 11. Perhaps Keane didn't see enough of him at training. I don't know. We're not there at training. As we always say, we're not there. Very good
scouting network we had back in the Marcus Evans era.
You say that. I mean, should we sign Jones? Anyway, we signed Jones Knudsen. Anyway, moving on. Before we get too ingrained in.
Yeah, there's a show in this. There's a show in this, I think.
Yeah, we've had more of a European network with all the money. It's like who's lost the package? Who's lost the who didn't hit the renewal button? You know, the automatic renewal button on the European. All right, looking ahead to this month, we have got 3 games, obviously Aston Villa being one of them. And after that, we have got Tottenham and we have got Manchester United. So Villa, Tottenham, Man United, 3 games, 9 points. How many points do you think Town are going to pick up without saying a score prediction or if we're going to win or lose on Saturday? So how many points do you think we're going to get?
3.
3. Okay.
He says, touching wood, crossing fingers and toes. Yeah.
Okay.
3.
All right. In that same time span, Leicester play Arsenal minus Kai Havertz now because he's out injured.
Yeah, hamstring.
Brentford and West Ham. How many points do you think Leicester are going to pick up then from those 3 games?
I don't think they'll get anything out of the Arsenal game this weekend. I don't think they will get anything against West Ham either because that's away. At home, but Brentford haven't got the greatest away form, have they, at the moment? But they have picked up since I think they've had 2 wins. I don't know who the other one was against, but they certainly gave Southampton a good scene too, didn't they? I think they could get a draw with Brentford. I mean, they're not great shakes Brentford away, are they? And they've done so well this season because of their home form. So I'm going to go for a point there for Leicester.
So they're on 18 in this world. We're on 19. Before I come to Wolves, I'll just get some comments. Dominic Dean says 4 points from me. Adi says 3 points. Norman said we need 5 points minimum to stay up. Jem says 6. He can see 6. Love it. Greg says 4. Okay, so finally Wolves. We're equal points in this prediction world of yours, Matt. So don't let it sway it. All right, be truthful to the final. You've got Liverpool, Bournemouth, and Fulham. How many points are Wolves picking up the next 3?
I can't see them getting anything in those away trips at Bournemouth and Liverpool. I can't see anything now. Fulham, I was thinking maybe Wolves could do something against Fulham, given that they've beaten Villa at Molineux. But also Fulham's away record is actually pretty good. I think they're 8th in if the table was just on the away form, they'd be 8th. And we found them a hard nut to crack, didn't they? When they come to Portman Road. So I think Fulham can get a draw at Molineux. So a point that would take Wolves to 20.
So Wolves will sit on 20, Town on 19, Leicester on 18. Which, after these 3 games of on paper, Aston Villa, a Champions League team, knocking on the door again. Tottenham, who you never really know which Tottenham's going to turn up. Let's be honest, and they could be under a new manager by that point. I mean, you just never know in football what's going to be around the corner. And Manchester United, I think I'm not against that. I'd take that all day long. Sitting only a point outside the relegation zone. Yeah, definitely.
Keep us in touch. I feel like I'm being a bit negative with everyone saying 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Difficult though, isn't it? I mean, look, Villa and Man United. Away from home are very difficult fixtures for everything that even though United and Amorim are getting headlines for the wrong reasons this season. I still think for a team of Ipswich's level, newly promoted out of the Football League, I still think going to Old Trafford's a difficult one. I mean, you saw how Southampton went to Old Trafford and held on to a 1-0 lead for a good 80 minutes, didn't they? All be an own goal, and then United still had enough in the tank to score 3 goals in about 10 minutes and actually see them off. So I think the 2 away games are going to be very difficult ones for us.
And the same with the home game against Tottenham. We can all sit back and watch Tottenham, and you may watch it with a sly smile on your face. You may have a bit of amusement, whatever you're feeling towards what's going on at the moment under Ange. You don't know
what Spurs is going to turn up, do you? This is the thing. I mean, like I predicted, it would be a bloodbath at White Hart Lane. Tottenham,
and they're all full of quality players. They can really hurt you.
They're so hit and miss, aren't they? And when we did the show with Ricky from the Spurs pod, he did say if there was a team that could turn up at Spurs and win, it would be Ipswich. But you've got to remember, they was on a really good run at that time. They'd stuck 4 past Villa, 4 past Everton, 4 past West Ham. It felt logical to me that they'd probably stick 4 past us, given we were fresh off. We'd been done 4-1 at West Ham, hadn't we? But we played really well that day against Tottenham. I hope we can do the same again against them at Portman Road in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I'm not going to ask where those 3 points are going to come from, because we're obviously going to discuss Aston Villa shortly. Joe says need to start throwing caution to the wind and go out to win games now. We're painting ourselves into a corner if we're too conservative.
We've done that though, haven't we? Didn't we throw caution against United and Newcastle? We was 1-0 down after a minute in each of those games.
We did. Then we contracted and we've gone a bit more solid. And now we've are we going to come out of ourselves a little bit more? You say that we're just being beaten at home by Southampton. So,
well, exactly. I mean, look, we did play okay in the first half against Southampton. I think the blueprint really.
I'm bored. I'm bored of moral victories and defeats. I've had enough of them this year. I had a real.
I'm with you on that one. But who knew we were going to serve up that second half? No one. I don't think anyone saw that coming particularly. I think the blueprint really for playing that kind of more defensive formation and being counter-attack was the Chelsea game, a game which we go into thinking we ain't going to get anything out of this. And all right, the first goal was a penalty, but it was a great move that led to that. And you have to get into the position, into the box in order to win the penalty in the first place. We were a bit lucky, I suppose, that João Felix had one chalked off, didn't he, VAR? I think Palmer hit the bar or whatever. But we scored a great counter-attack goal, the Hutchinson one in the second half. That to me seems to be the blueprint, but it's very difficult, isn't it, to be able to replicate this against other Premier League opposition, which is why we're sitting second from bottom at the moment.
Yeah, this is it. Simon said, ongoing defensive over need 3 goals to win, but we don't create much, need an utter miracle to stay up in real terms.
I agree with some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, fair. We are hopefully going to be joined by the Villa Park podcast, but while we wait for them to potentially join us, let's move on to Aston Villa. What are your thoughts heading into this game, Matt? What can Town take from their last performance, which is a cup win against Coventry, albeit Championship side? They did play one of their strongest sides they could. What can they take from that game and bring it into this one?
Depends who's playing from that game going into this one, doesn't it? I mean, we were sort of on opposite sides of the coin, weren't we, on this one? You thought we should play as near to the 11 that you would take to Villa Park, which I actually did agree with.
I would imagine.
But, which I agreed with you on that one. And I know when I was chatting to Colin on the phone about that, he agreed with you on that as well. It seemed sensible after such a demoralising loss to Southampton that you use the same nucleus of players that will probably feature at Villa Park to try and get some momentum, some confidence, something back into the side. To see if we can get something out of the game. But he does go with the what was it? The 11 changes?
Just the 11 changes. Just the 11. So who's picking the team this week? Is it Guinevere? Is it Camelot? Is it Balls 3, 8? What is it this week?
I mean, do you want to go? I mean, I've kind of got a skeleton side here. Do you want me to go into that?
Hang on, before you do, we have got Rich from the Villa Park podcast joining us. We've only got him for 10 minutes, so we'll bring him straight in. Rich, welcome in. How you doing?
Rich, how you doing?
Good evening, lads. Thanks for having me on again. Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see. I'm getting Dalian Atkinson vibes behind you with that green and black.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Yes, 1994 Coca-Cola Cup final.
Love Dalian. Martin nearly cried when Matt Holland nearly went to Aston Villa, and I nearly cried when Dalian left us. I think he actually went Sheffield Wednesday first, then he goes to Villa, but followed Big Ron, didn't he? Rich,
he did.
Followed Big Ron around a little bit. Oh, he was brilliant for us. Villa then, mate, 8th position in the Premier League. Is that something of a bit of a disappointment after last season, or to be expected with the Champions League campaign? And you're obviously still in the FA Cup, so you're competing on lots of fronts at the moment.
Yeah, it's been a funny one. It's just been relentless this season, and sometimes you have to take a step back and think, yes, the form in the Premier League has been a bit patchy, but then to them say that we're in the last 16 of the Champions League, we haven't got to worry about this playoff business that Manchester City have got to worry about. You know, we came in the top 8, we beat Bayern Munich, we beat Leipzig, and we're in the 5th round of the FA Cup, first time we've been in that for the last 10 years. To then only be sort of 4 points off 5th or something like that, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. The only disappointment would be our away form has been pretty poor, and we've had some, the result against you guys at Portman Road is one of those. Wolves away, as well as kind of losing to some of the big boys, so to speak, has been disappointing. Like every time we've seemed to have won a couple of games, it's been, lose a game or draw a game that we should be winning, in quotes. So that's where it's been a bit frustrating. However, like I just said, because of the relentless nature of the league and the Champions League, we've just had one game in the Premier League, then a Champions League game, then another couple of Premier League games, then another Champions League game. It just hasn't felt like we've had too much rhythm. So to still be in that spot, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You went from highs and lows, didn't you? You had that fantastic game against Celtic, which I watched. Really great game. We were 2 up in about 2 minutes, weren't you? And then followed it up with a loss at Molineux, which didn't help us, Rich, quite frankly. I mean, we were kind of counting on you to do something there for us. I mean, what was the difference between those two games? Obviously, under lights against Celtic, Battle of Britain, all that kind of thing. Was it just more of a after the Lord Mayor's show against Wolves at Molineux?
I mean, it's so difficult because I've tried not to use the excuse of, like you say, after the Lord Mayor's show with Champions League, with brilliant Champions League games that followed up with a disappointing Premier League result. But we've had so many of them this season. It's been crazy. The only win we've had after a Champions League game is the Wolves at home. And that's the only win we've had from 8 Champions League games. So it has to have been some sort of hangover, whether that's mentally, emotionally, or physically. It has to have been the case. Now, Wolves at Molineux, Aston Villa never do well. You're talking Molineux, St James's Park, and Old Trafford. They're the 3 grounds that Villa never do well at. So it was always going to be a difficult game because it's kind of like Wolves Cup final at the moment, playing against Aston Villa. So it was never going to be an easy game, but particularly after, like you say, the Celtic game and the highs of getting through in the top 8 and all that, it was always going to be difficult. However, it doesn't make it any less disappointing though, because again, an opportunity to close up on the top 4. I think Newcastle lost that weekend, Chelsea lost that weekend, so it was a massive opportunity for us to close the gap, and we just didn't do it. So that's where it becomes really disappointing. But yeah, like I say, it's one of those, isn't it? We've just got to try and get some form together for this second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. In that Celtic game, of course, Morgan Rogers scored a hat-trick, didn't he? I mean, what's the fans' thought on him this season? And I guess you're expecting him to have a big influence, are you, against us on Saturday?
I hope so. I mean, he's been brilliant this season. He's been one of the big shining lights of the season. And the goals from him, Ollie Watkins, and before he departed, John Durant, those 3 have been the main goal scorers for Villa. And that's been the big problem with Aston Villa this season is we've never been great at keeping clean sheets, but we've always scored lots of goals since Unai Emery came in, but we haven't really scored that number of goals this season. So we've been kind of over-reliant on Morgan Rogers to a certain extent. However, he has really, stepped up. There's still a bit of refining. He's still a bit rough around the edges. Certain games, he's absolutely incredible, like against Celtic, Tottenham on the weekend. But there's other games where he looks like he's never kicked a football before, and his passing's all over the place, his first touch is all over the place. So there's still a bit of refining to do. But he is. I mean, to think that he was playing in the Championship this time last year with Middlesbrough, and now he's playing he's scoring hat tricks in the Champions League, and he's probably worth upwards of 60, 70 million. It's crazy. It's a crazy rise to prominence for him.
And Tielemans seems to be one of your standout players as well. He seems to have gone under the radar a little bit, but seems to be putting in 7, 8, 9 out of 10 performances for you week in, week out.
Yeah, he's brilliant. I mean, he's probably, him and Boubacar Kamara are probably, the 2 most consistent players for Villa this season. And the crazy thing is that they were both free transfers. I mean, they're on pretty big wages, I would say, but to get that quality and free in terms of a free transfer is brilliant. But yeah, he's great. He can play in that more advanced position. He can play in front of the back 4. But the best thing about him is he's always looking to play forwards. He's always looking to play within 1 or 2 touches, which is what Unai Emery's wanted. Douglas Luiz, a lot of Villa fans loved Luiz, and he was brilliant for us, but he held onto the ball for too long at times and kind of played a little bit too casually for, I think, Unai's liking. Whereas Tielemans, he might give the ball away every now and again, but because he wants to play so quickly, it's perfect for the way Villa want to play. I still want a few more goals from him, but he's been brilliant.
And we just had the January window, Rich, and one of the sort of eye-catching moves was Marcus Rashford. What are your thoughts on capturing him on loan?
I'm a bit torn, really, because I think we all know what Marcus Rashford can be. We all know what he can, that he can be world class. He can be devastating on his day. I just hope that, he can come in and kind of recapture some of that happiness and joy and wanting to play football again. I think it's a move that probably benefits all parties, because with the situation at Manchester United, it was almost like he couldn't do right for doing wrong. If he came in and played well, it was like, well, why weren't you doing this before? If he came in and played badly, it was like, well, his attitude's gone and all that kind of stuff. So he was never going to be loved or accepted at that point by the fans. So even just to come to Aston Villa or any club, a different club, and just be loved for 5 or 6 months, just for his ego, just for a bit of a boost, has got to be good for him. And then if he can get 6, 7, 8 goals for Aston Villa, then he's obviously going to propel us up the league, or get us far in the Champions League, or get us far in the FA Cup. So it's kind of a win-win situation for all parties. And then yes, he's on big wages, but we haven't paid a loan fee, and we're factored into the 5 months that he's with us probably cost us about 7 million. So I know £7 million, and if he gets us to the quarterfinals or semi-finals of the Champions League, gets us an extra 40-50 million, we're going to say it's worth it, aren't we? So I'm actually, from that question, I'm actually more intrigued about Asensio than I am about Rashford. I don't really know a lot about Asensio. I mean, I've said this on our podcasts. We were in the Championship and languishing at the bottom of the Premier League when he was winning Champions League. So I never bothered watching the Champions League to see Asensio. So I don't really know a lot about him.
Sound like me, Rich. Sound like me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Me.
Yeah, he looked great when he came on the other day, but when you're 2-0 up against Tottenham with half an hour to go, I don't think there's any better time to come on. I want to see what he's like if we're 1-0 down, or let's say on Saturday, if you guys you guys go 1-0 up, or it's 0-0 and you're putting 10 men behind the ball or whatever. Can one of those two players do something that's going to unlock the defense and win us a game that is difficult to win? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see them do. Not come on with it when it's 2 or 3-0 and you can kind of just do back heels and stuff, and you've got carte blanche to do what you want. I want to see what they're like when the chips are down.
Yeah. Last question for you, Rich. Go on, mate. Go for it.
I'll just ask what Norman says in the chat here, Rich. With your injuries, who do you think your back four will be? And could that be our slim hope of getting some sort of result from you?
Well, look, like you guys absolutely tore into us at Portman Road. And, Liam Delap's a great player. He's had a really good season. Jack Clark, actually, I think, did really well in that game against us. I don't think he's done quite as well since then. If I'm right, you've obviously got Philogene coming to Villa Park. So whether he plays or not, I'm not too sure. I'm not too concerned about him, to be honest. But that's another question. Yeah, we'll come on to that. Yeah. But in terms of the defence, I think if Tyrone Mings is anywhere near fit, I'd like to see him play, and I'm sure Axel Disasi will play. So at least there'll be 2 recognised centre backs, and then that might allow Boubacar Kamara to step back into midfield, which is obviously his best position, and he is probably our best player. I think that's kind of most Villa fans would tell you that Boubacar Kamara is our best player. So that would be good. But having said that, with Mings and Disasi at the back, probably likely to have a mistake in one or two of them. They're both 100% men. They'll both go for the ball. They'll both go for tackles, but that can sometimes mean that you dive in or you kind of leave yourself short a little bit. So absolutely, Villa don't keep clean sheets, so that's a chance for you to get goals. The chances are that Villa won't keep a clean sheet. So you just have to kind of hope that we don't score 2 or 3. That's the That's the worry.
Yeah. Oh, last question for you, Rich, because we know you got to go. But yeah, Jayden, give us your thoughts on Jayden. Why did you sign him back from Hull City, then to let him go in the next window to us?
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, really, because I think I might have been talking to you guys about this the last one, and we were quite excited about him when earlier on in the season, purely because the season before last in the pre-season, I think we were on a tour in America, and he looked fantastic. He scored some great goals. He was attacking. He was beating his man, looking quick, and then he went on loan to Hull, and by all accounts, really tore it up at Hull. And I think Unai Emery really liked what he saw, and then we obviously had to sell Moussa Diaby, or the offer was too good to turn down for Moussa Diaby. So the kind of logical choice was, let's bring back Jayden Philogene as competition for Leon Bailey. But he just didn't, for whatever reason. I don't know whether it was just the occasions or the gravitas of the club, or being that player who's going to be relied upon to be a competition for Leon Bailey. Yeah, he did have a bit of a stop-start, had a couple of injuries, but he just never looked like he could handle the pressure, so to speak. He just didn't look like he could adapt to what Unai Emery was telling him to do. Now, we know now what Unai Emery's team talks like. We know the detail that he goes into. We know the expectations he places on the players. So maybe it was just a case of it was just a little bit too soon for him. He's obviously got ability. He's obviously got pace. I was always worried about his body language as well. I always worry when I see a player with their sleeves over their hands and they're kind of hunched over when they get onto the pitch. Because if I was playing, I know what I'll be doing straight away. I'll be smashing into them and saying they don't want it. And that's the worry that I would have for someone like a Philogene. So maybe he could come in at Ipswich. And I mean, to be honest, it's not as if he's got any less pressure at Ipswich. You're talking about pressure to qualify for the Champions League, or pressure to keep a side in the Premier League. I mean, I don't know which one I'd prefer to have. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult for him, but I just hope that he can have some time, and he can maybe score some goals, or hopefully help you guys to stay up.
Yeah.
What have you made of him since his sign? I know he scored the other day
against Coventry.
He scored a good goal against Coventry. Yeah.
He's not putting his sleeves over his hands because he's got gloves now. The jury's out, isn't it, Martin? I think. I mean, he had a quiet first half against Coventry, and obviously scores in the second half. But they were playing him on the right hand side, Rich, and we've been told he's a left-sided player, really. But I mean, we've got abundant of options on that side. So whether or not he's going to get shoehorned in over on the right, I really don't know. I'm not sure.
He played on the right for Villa. That's where he played.
Did he?
Emery likes his right-sided players to be left-footed. He doesn't really play with like a left winger. He'll play like kind of a lopsided. So he'll have Bailey or McGinn or Rodgers out on the right, and they'll stay wide. But on the left, he'll have them tucked in. So he'll have Ramsey probably tucked right in, which means that Luca Dean gets forward on that left-hand side. And then one of the midfielders, probably Boubacar Kamara, drops into the defence to kind of have cover. So that's how Unai Emery likes it. So, yeah, Jayden will probably, that's where he played with Villa, on the right, cutting in on his left.
To give you an idea of what our viewers at home are saying, Simon says championship standard. Joe says body language doesn't look good. Trevor says not impressed, but early days. To be fair, so I mean that's just 3 comments. I'm sure more are going to be coming in shortly. From my perspective, personally, Rich, to answer your question, early days. He came on against Southampton. Did he start against Southampton or come on against Southampton? Mate? See, that's when you came on as a start, and he didn't grab the occasion and sort of introduce himself, as a player that's just arrived from a big money move. But it's still early days, and I think there's undoubtedly some good ability in there. And I'm looking forward to seeing, and he may turn it on. Saturday might be his moment to turn it on and launch his town career, which we hope it is. Villa fans hope it isn't. Before I let you go, so no, we're time pressured, Rich. I've only got one more question for you. It's the biggest question of the night. Where did you get that microphone from? Because I want one. I
think I got it from Amazon. Yeah,
that is excellent. I'm doing my room up soon. and I needed new equipment. And I'm watching you while you're talking. It's different lights on it. Everything is brilliant.
Yeah. HyperX on Amazon.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah.
You wait. I'll have on this. Yeah, I'll have on next year. If we stay up, we'll obviously be speaking again, and hopefully you'll be able to talk to me with my new microphone. But Rich, enjoy the rest of your night. I know you're heading out. Thank you ever so much.
Cheers, Rich.
Cheers, boys. Best of luck. See you later. Bye bye.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate Rich from Villa Park Podcast coming on there. That is a great mic, Matt. You can't argue.
Yeah, I could see you was eyeing that microphone up. It's good.
You know,
goes green and red, doesn't it? It's good.
Yeah, with what I got in mind with my lighting system.
Yeah.
The bee's knees, couldn't it?
Are you still? Look, people don't know about this yet, do they? But I mean, like Martin's thinking about a new backdrop studio kind of thing. I'm just wondering whether or not do we have to stay in the Premier League to see this, or is it doesn't matter?
You might not see me if we get relegated. With an additional 8 other games.
Yeah.
I'm going to cry. Yeah. I said you did on Monday. They're playing again tomorrow night, and then I said that emoji. You're crying in the shower.
Yeah,
like they're playing again tomorrow. Oh,
it's relentless, isn't it? The football league. When you just observe it from afar, it just looks relentless, doesn't it? I mean, the pacing of we've said it before. Pace of the Premier League is great, isn't it? Get people like Rich on. You can talk about the game. It's a week away. Blah blah. Ain't got to worry about Wickham on the Tuesday, no.
No. Followed by the Friday, followed by the FA Cup on the Saturday, followed by the. It's going to drive me more mad. But no, you'll see it next year undoubtedly. I'm being evicted out of here, you see, so. I've got to go to new digs, and I'm going down the stairs, and we're having a little office built, not just for my stuff.
It shows, right? We started when those who have been with us right from the very start will remember you were downstairs to begin with, weren't you? There we go. He remembers.
That was the settee, and Toby the dog used to appear randomly right here.
Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so we've heard Rich. We heard our comments leading into Villa. Let's talk about the 1 to 11 then. Who? Alex Palmer in goal, yes or no?
Yes, totally agree with that. Yeah, that's got to happen, isn't it? I mean, we said the other night, didn't we? He's shirt now. He wouldn't. The interesting thing is who's going to be the keeper on the bench? Muric or Slicker? What do you think? Well, Slicker was on Saturday, wasn't it? You think Muric? Do you?
Yeah, I think with Muric, yeah.
Interesting. Be interested. That'd be quite telling, that, won't it? To see who that would be. But yes, it's Palmer's shirt now to the end of the season, barring injury. I would have thought. Yeah.
Are you going to change? Are you going to stay with a 4-2-3-1, or are you going to go to a 3-5-2 or a 3-4-3?
I'm starting with the 4-2-3-1. So I'm bringing Axel back.
Okay.
He's going to be my right back. Yeah. Then would you have him, or are you going to keep Godfrey in there?
I'm actually going to a back three. So.
Oh yeah, okay, all right. So we're going to I'll be both bringing back O'Shea and Greaves.
O'Shea, Greaves, and Burgess. O'Shea, Greaves, and Axel on my back three.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I've got with my back four. Then I've got Leaf obviously over on the left. Central midfield. That's another conundrum now, isn't it? What's going to happen? I mean, because Taylor played well against Coventry, I thought. I mean, he had a hand in a couple of the goals. I thought he did okay, given that Canute never ever finishes games, and it's still a question mark over his fitness a little bit. I mean, I think more. I would imagine it's going to be. I would have thought it'd be Morsey and Canute, to be honest with you. But is there an argument to bring Phillips in with Morsey, being that we're away from home, Villa Park, as Rich said there, they score goals. I mean, we tried this at Anfield, didn't we? Didn't really work, did it, with Morsey and Phillips? But,
no.
Would you rather have the legs of Canute in there then? That's what you're thinking?
Jens Karius comes back in for me without a doubt. I just don't know who I play next to him. I edge between Phillips, to Taylor, back to Morsey. It really at this point feels. I mean, the only person you haven't really seen for extended time is Jack Taylor. It feels like next to Jens Karius in that midfield. You've seen Phillips, you've seen Morsey, you've still got those question marks about how good your central midfield is. Is it now with sort of last chance saloon, or is that silly talk to not have a captain in there when it's last chance saloon and the guy that's led you back to back alongside your manager and is the right hand man of your manager? So for me, you could probably put one of the three and make a good argument for any of them. I I reckon he'll probably edge towards Morsey playing with Jens Koyes.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it? You make a good point about Taylor, though. I mean, how's Taylor supposed to develop if he's only getting cameos off the bench every now and again? And all right, it was against Coventry, so championship opposition rather than elite Premier League, Champions League team. No, we're playing on Saturday, but he did do all right in that game. Yeah, and then my 3 would be obviously Enciso comes back after being cup tied, so he'll be the 10 for us.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to bring back Amari on the right-hand side, and I'm going to keep with Jack Clark. Now, we've actually been crying out he needed a moment, didn't we?
Yeah.
Problem Jack Clark's had all season, he's had no moments, and then he gets a brace against Coventry. So you got to think that he's going to have some confidence going into a big game for us. So I would say let's keep him over on the left-hand side with kind of like Philogene, broad head up your sleeve for the second half. And obviously, even though George played very well against Cov, you've got to bring Delap back, haven't you? So that's my team now.
Oh, yeah. Delap without a doubt. For me, Delap without a doubt every game, unless he's not fit enough to start it. And then you got to hope pray it's only a short-term fitness issue and not a long-term injury. But George did well on Saturday, but he's, Coventry in the Championship. There's no disrespect to them. This is Aston Villa who are in the Champions League, knocking the door of the Champions League, re-qualifying for the Champions League. The standard steps up again. And we saw George perform well away at Brentford, but Delap's been doing it consistently because he's had that run of games through staying fit. And big Delap for me. I see Stephen Parry in the chat say you need at least one defensive midfield player, which I think in a 4-2-3-1 you 100% do, Matt. But if you played a 3 at the back, a 3-5-2, a 5 out possession, you don't really need a defensive midfield player.
No, I wouldn't have thought.
You've got 3 centre halves. If you can't defend with 3 centre halves, give up. Because you ain't going to do it with 3 and 1 defensive midfield player. Yeah.
I mean, my team's very similar to the one that lost to Southampton, quite frankly. I've changed to keeper, and it's Clark for Broadhead. Which is not McKenna's way, is it? I mean, let's wait and see. 1:45 on Saturday. It's interesting. Again, it's one of these games, isn't it? That like, if we'd lost to Aston Villa at home, but get a point at Villa Park, that's quite a good return. But the fact we actually did play, as Rich alluded to there, actually played very well against them and was on fire against them. I know we go 2-1 down, but got back into the game there and arguably could have won it. But I mean, if you could reverse it round, we'd lost that one, get a point at Villa Park, we'd be quite happy with that, I think. But it's a very tough game. Very tough game.
I think whatever formation and whoever played, we've got to make it harder to beat us. We've got to make it a real effort to beat us. You've got to leave it all on the line from this point on. And I know they haven't not been doing that. They've been doing their best. I mean that step up back to back. But you've got a if it involves doing the nasty stuff and the dirty stuff, you've got to do it now. If people take points off you, then don't make it a cakewalk, which is what sometimes it felt like. And you can say the quality. Yeah, but you can say the quality of the teams. Liverpool, Man City, etc. That's one thing. But as you saw in the FA Cup, you got to do all the necessary stuff which you can do, which is in the faces, battle for every ball, leave nothing to chance. Hope you get a bit of luck. Goalkeeping save helps you, which obviously we haven't really had. At various points.
You're not having a great season when you've had 3 keepers. Do you know what I mean?
Well, this is it. This is it, isn't it? Yeah, and I do think Palmer will start. I do agree.
Have you got Enciso in your team? I didn't hear that bit. Did you say you've got Enciso in your team?
I would have Enciso in my team. Yeah. The only question mark I've got is who would play Enciso is one of the players behind the lap. Yeah.
And Amari? Bringing Amari back in?
It's interesting. I go back and forwards again. A bit like midfield too. I go back and forwards between Jaden, Jack Clark, Amari.
You need Amari to put in that shift he did against Spurs. He was really good in that game, wasn't he? And we were really on front foot and obviously go 2-0 up very quickly, didn't we, in that first half? If not, we're going to get afforded that luxury and of space and be able to counter against Villa.
We would do. Because if you played him in that right-hand pocket, we've just heard from Rich, Villa like to operate in a very similar way to how McKenna likes to operate with his left back. The left back will be flying forward. It'll be down to the midfield player, as telling us there, to fill in, which he does very well. That will still leave space in behind that left back for whoever plays that right-hand pocket to have plenty of opportunity to get forward, drive. It's got to be someone like Amari or like a Jaden Philogene who has that ability on the ball that can really drive a player. I know we haven't seen it in a Town shirt from Jaden. We've seen it elsewhere from Jaden Philogene that he can do that. But it's got to be someone someone who can do that, isn't it? It's not going to be somebody.
I'm just wondering if not Jaden can be trusted at the moment. We've not really seen that, have we? We've not really seen that from him yet. I mean, obviously the picture that Rich painted there of him on that American tour, and they really rated him. Then he obviously goes off to Hull. That's the version obviously we need. I mean, maybe that was the version that McKenna had been looking at. Well, going back a year and a half, or whatever it was.
If you can't, come on, this is a big opportunity for him to go back to a team that sold him twice and given him 12, 13, 14 games. Like,
yeah, go and prove a point.
Just go and turn it on. Simple as that. Go and prove that they were right to buy you back and wrong to sell you again. And not really give you that, that opportunity. You could argue to showcase.
That's a good point. Yeah,
what you could do. It's Mick McCarthy used to always play players against their old teams because the point to prove.
Yeah,
and
good logic.
I think if this is a game where you don't have a point to prove, for me, or if there is a game you've got a point to prove, it's this one.
Yeah, be a real bonus 3 points for us if we was to get something out of it. But we'll say. I mean, we'll take. You take a point now, would you? All or nothing.
I sneakily fancy us, Sneakily fancy us. Just a feeling I got.
What's your score prediction then?
Just a feeling I got. Could be food poisoning on the way, but it's just a feeling I got.
Could be a temperature. I think we're going to win 2-1. Well, Emma Hughes scored the winner there. Do you remember going back? That was about 7-8 years ago, I think.
Here's a stat for you, right? Listen to this. Aston Villa have lost just one of their last. Aston Villa have lost just one of their past 14 top flight meetings with Ipswich. 1-10, drawn 3. A 1-0 home defeat in March of 1994.
Going back a bit then.
And excluding another one for you, excluding own goals, 95% of Ipswich's 21 Premier League goals this season have been scored by a British or Irish player, the highest proportion by a team in a campaign since Wolves in 2011-12.
We're gone full circle now. The lack of European scouting options has caused this.
Yeah. If we sign the Ionis in the summer, that would be a bit different.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, exactly.
Who knows? Sliding door moment, Matt. One of your sliding doors.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Sadly, it was departure lounge closing. He didn't get on the plane, so.
Yeah, he ain't coming. Yeah. Well, who knows? Look, if we can stay up, he might be someone we can revisit. Who knows? Let's wait and see.
Yeah, let's wait and see. All right, score prediction. Let's go. Let's round off the show. Before you do, don't forget Stowmarket Osteopaths. Give Freddie a call. 01449 613 633. Don't live life in pain. Give Freddie a call. He is a great guy, great at his work. So give him a call. Stowmarket Osteopaths. 01449 613 633. Matt, score prediction, please.
I actually think we'll be buoyant after our excellent result at Coventry. Whether or not it's going to be enough, I don't know. I think we might just get edged out 2-1. I think we'll put in a good shift. I hope we do. I'm hoping Enciso gets off the mark. I predicted this against Southampton. I thought that game was tailor-made for him, but it didn't happen, did it? I think the sooner he gets off the mark, the better, because I still think all roads through him if we're going to stay up this season. That's what I think.
Fair play. Sean says 1-1. Colin says 2-2. Mike says 2-1 Villa. Steve Perry says optimistic 2-1 Town. Andrew says 1-0 Town. Greg says 1-1. Nick Muller, welcome in. Nick says 2-2. All draw. Yeah, that's must. I was trying to work out as I was reading it. How can I get Mustard into this with Mr. Nick Muller Mustard videos? Yeah,
I've seen Nick on the train a few times going back off to Pullman Road. He wouldn't get the mustard out. They were losses though. We weren't in the mustard mood.
Nice and happy. Kieran says 1-0 Ipswich. John says 2-2, and Bold and Blue says if we stay up, I will buy Gov that flashy microphone. Wow.
Come on, the boys! Whoa. You buy me one, Bold and Blue.
Please stay up. Please. Anything to save a pound note. Please. If I've got her on the pitch and score a goal myself, I will. We are staying up, boys.
And you think Town are going to win on Saturday then? This is your little gut feel, yeah? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I better give you my score because Josh is waiting at home for it. It's for the prediction league in the Discord. So I think it will be. Do you know what?
Ooh, drum roll. What's that drum roll?
Aston Villa 2, Town 3.
Oh my God.
On.
What a game. It'd be like all over again, but we win.
Carnage. Last minute winner. Is there wind forecast for the weekend? Because it is Alex Palmer from in a freak goalkeeping goal that you can join the countdown of goals that scored.
We could do another one of those moments, couldn't we? Like the Jack Taylor header at more than
miracle moment.
Yeah, miracle moment and limbs. Yeah, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Oh, keep my fingers crossed.
Awesome because back-to-back wins, albeit different competitions, but back-to-back wins, momentum.
Yeah.
Just imagine staying up and winning the FA Cup, and next year, we'll be facing sides like Ajax and other great.
Yeah, we're in Europe, of course, aren't we? Yeah. That would then put our undefeated record on the line. Our undefeated record would like Palmer Road would be on the line, Martin, wouldn't it? It's like 38-0 or something, isn't it? Something along those lines.
Song, wouldn't they, if we were lost?
Yeah. yeah, exactly. Oh well, that'd be a great season.
Yeah, that would be a great season. There we go. We've done it right. Tommy, our resident Norwich fan says, "Oh, by the way, Tommy, I wasn't paying attention to any football last night. What was the Norwich score? Do you know? Let us know in the chat." Tommy says,
"Gone down to 9, haven't they? Got booed off.
It's gone down to 9. Oh, they got booed off, did they?
And booed off.
Did they not win last night then?
No, lost to Preston.
Oh,
yeah, out of the playoffs, down to 9th, booed off."
Anyway, Tommy says quite easily this one: Villa 4, Ipswich 1.
Oh well, we'll see.
Oh, he's a Forest fan. Oh fuck! Oh no, he's a Forest fan.
Then.
Oh,
see them in the cup.
That's really bad, though. I mean, we can't like bring any sort of football banter to it because they're much better than us.
Well, we got them twice in March. We'll wait and see, eh? We'll wait and see.
Tommy, you might be a Forest fan, but to the rest of us, you're a Norwich fan. All right, give us a glimmer of hope here, Tommy. Don't take it away from us. Don't steal it. All right, we're being beaten down on the Premier League. For once, we can turn around and say, but what about you? So don't change it. All right, but you might be a Forest fan. Never mind. All right. Anyway, this man here has been Matthew Phillips. I have been your host. Thank you for watching. Thanks for Rich from the Villa Park podcast. Join us on Match Reaction, full-time show. Moment the full-time whistle goes, we'll be live. Win, lose, or draw. Definitely a win this week. But until then, stay well, stay healthy, stay happy. God bless. Take care. Bye.